Welcome into the latest edition of ESPN SC. I'm Dan Thomas, joined in the studio today by Ali Moreno and Stevie Nicol. We kick things off with the official news that Erling Haaland is a Manchester City player. He was presented as the latest addition of the squad on Monday, and this is what he had to say about the decision to join City.
I think in the end, two things. I feel a bit home here, I think, and also I think I can develop and get the best out of my game in City. I like the style, I like the attacking football, I like the kind of positive vibe we have when City play football. This is what I like a lot. Yeah, I think it's a really good fit.
And he brings with him a lot of goals, doesn't he? 29 in 30 matches for Borussia Dortmund. Julien Laurens is with us. But Stevie, I want to start with you. We talked about City a lot last season and the lack of a striker and how that could be a detriment to some games, some big games, like, for example, Champions League ties. Does this complete them?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I mean, listen, if you ask Pep, he'd rather have Van Dijk at the back. There'll be little things that you would, just on a greedy side, you would want. But to get that guy, oh my goodness. Every other team on the planet is scared stiff when they step on the field against this team.
It seems difficult to put an argument up to as to why this won't work.
Yeah, I'm not even going to try.
No, don't.
What I would say is that it's going to be critical, the pre-season work for Erling Haaland and Manchester City and Pep Guardiola, so that he defines Erling Haaland's role very clearly for him, in that for Borussia Dortmund, Erling Haaland had to do just about everything in the attacking half and in and around the 18-yard box. With Manchester City, he does not have to do that. He just has to get on the end of things. Yes, he will combine with other players, but the service and the productivity that he's going to get from wide areas, for guys like De Bruyne, for guys coming in behind, he just has to focus on making the little diagonal runs that we saw Sergio Aguero make time and time again, off the shoulder of defenders, and then get on the end of service. If he does that, I have to imagine that Erling Haaland will score a ton of goals. A ton of goals. He's going to walk into goals because they didn't have that presence, and yet Manchester City were scoring goals for fun. Having this guy now gives you a focal point and a guy that you know can put the final touch on the ball.
Do you know, I could be comparing apples and oranges here, but you think of a striker, 6'3", 6'4", as fast as he is, and you think, oh, they're going to need space. You know, you think of Lukaku, and we always say that he needs space, and that when it's all tight in and around the penalty box, that doesn't suit his game. This guy's the opposite. He's got such quick feet, and he doesn't have a huge backlift when he hits the ball. You know, when he's striking balls at goal, he doesn't have this big, huge, gangly backlift.
Right.
It's really sharp and really crisp. So he's absolutely just the answer that they've been looking for.
And guess what? The other thing is, and we just saw it in the interview, the expression in his face is one of, I want to be here, I'm excited to be here, I can't wait to get going, and this is going to be the dream position for me. So that gets you going in the right direction to begin with. Then you take in your skill level and your skill set, and then you take the skill set of the people around you. Man, it all seems on paper like a beautiful, beautiful story.
Who makes way then, Jules? How does this starting 11 look with Erling Haaland in it?
Well, that's going to be very interesting. I think it's not too hard to think that Guardiola will obviously play Haaland in the centre and then have two wingers each side of him, whether you pick Sterling or Grealish, Mahrez, or I guess Bernardo Silva can play a bit higher up, and then you've got your three midfielders behind, Rodri as the holding, and then Kevin De Bruyne, and then a third one who could be Gundogan, who could be Bernardo Silva, for example. I think what's interesting though is Haaland, of course, he would be a big success and we score lots of goals, but we still have, I think, to adapt a little bit the way he plays, of course, and I think Pep will do the same with the team. Maybe Kyle Walker can be a more attacking role than last season, for example, where he played mostly as a third centre-back, and Cancelo had the most license to go forward. But Walker in the past, certainly in the past few seasons, usually was more attacking on that right-hand side as well. So maybe that changes a little bit. It'll be interesting to see what City does to adapt also their game to Erling Haaland's quality. But it's going to be really fascinating. And as early as pre-season, and Pep has already said, they just want him to arrive fully fit, rested, in good form. We saw him scoring a lot already in those Nations League that are now over for him. He can go on holidays and be ready to start pre-season, because there will be also a lot of work and a lot of things for him to learn in the Guardiola system and the way this team has been playing for so many years all together, that he will need to be ready to work hard.
Think about what other teams now defensively have to face against Manchester City. So you have Erling Haaland right there, parked between the two center backs. So if you're a center back and then you got all the floating pieces around of Manchester City, are you then leaving this guy to then go step into Kevin De Bruyne? Are you leaving this guy to go and pick up Bernardo Silva? Is Phil Foden floating over here? So you have a lot of pieces around Erling Haaland, then you have him here between the two center backs. It's going to make it so difficult for center backs to make decisions, for defensive midfielders to make decisions. Once these guys start moving all over the place and you still have the big presence of Erling Haaland, somebody's going to have space. So it's pick your poison. Do you give space, time and space to Kevin De Bruyne in the attacking third and say, yeah, you pick out a pass? Or do you leave space for Erling Haaland for him to make a free run in behind? It's going to be so difficult to pick up defensively for every team that plays against Manchester City.
The bookies have high hopes when it comes to Erling Haaland. He is the favourite to win the Golden Boot in the Premier League next season, just ahead of Mohamed Salah. Kane then at 7s, Son in at 10s, Cristiano Ronaldo at 12s. Where's your money, Stevie?
It's definitely between Haaland and Salah for me. And I've got to say that I'm going to go with Haaland, because he's playing right through the pipe.
Wow.
Because he's a centre forward.
Yeah.
You know, Mohamed Salah's goals, a lot of them are crafted by himself with pieces of brilliance, whereas this guy is just like an old-fashioned number 9 at times. Just get the ball in the box and he'll get on the end of it and put it in the back of the net. So I think Haaland might shade it.
Erling Haaland.
Yeah.
It's not going to be Cristiano. I cannot believe that he's on the list.
Well, he's got lots of goals last season, Ali.
But not enough to be ahead of Salah or Erling Haaland. Erling Haaland will lead it.
Hat-trick for you, Jules? Haaland as well?
Yeah, definitely. And when you think that City, I think, only had the 5th highest conversion rate last season, so created all those chances, didn't score as many goals as they should have had compared to the chances that they created, expected goals as well. He's going to have so many opportunities every single game to score that even if he doesn't take them all, he will still score many. So yeah, I agree with the boys.
Of course, it's not only Manchester City who are looking to bolster their attack. You may have heard of a chap called Darwin Nunez.
What?
We've talked about him quite a lot.
Yeah,
reports suggesting that this is almost a done deal, that we'll see him go to Liverpool. Who's winning, Stevie, with regards to Manchester City or Liverpool in this market?
Well, it's a bit, you're kind of setting me up here, because
I'm not setting you up. I wouldn't do that.
Listen, if at the end of the season, but let's be honest, the one player that every single team had at the top of the list was Erling Haaland.
Okay.
So you got to go with Erling Haaland. I mean,
So Manchester City overall.
yeah, okay, yeah, I'll say Manchester City.
All right, okay.
Did
Stuart Robson's going to start shouting again.
Do you feel like he set you up there, Stevie?
I don't think
Well, you know, a little bit.
I was just asking an objective question.
like
to an
leading
objective
to
fun.
really, yeah.
It was.
Come on.
It was.
If I had said Darwin Nunez, you would have went,
I tell you which I don't think is a stretch. If I'm any other side but Manchester City or Liverpool, I'm thinking,
What's the point?
everyone's playing for third, aren't they? Because these are such good signings where needed to two teams that absolutely bossed this league last season.
And every time we have conversations about Chelsea and Spurs and Arsenal, Manchester United, and we're critical of these teams, we say it when you think in the context of where Manchester City and Liverpool are right now and where they're going to be next season. So good luck, Chelsea. Good luck, Manchester United. Good luck, Spurs. Good luck keeping up. It's impossible when you think as to how good both of these teams were this season, and they are, on paper, going to be even better next season. Now, this is all on paper. We're not talking about injuries. We're not talking about lack of performance. On paper, you are seeing two teams who were dominant, and now they're better than what they were last season. That's scary good.
It's reminiscent, Jules, of almost that Barca Real Madrid like 10 years ago where they were just winning everything, and a draw felt like a loss because it's dropped points. If you're these other clubs, it's difficult to offer up any sort of argument as to why, for example, Chelsea are going to come together and be a real contender against these two, considering the business they've done.
Yeah, you're right, unless they step up their game as well on the transfer window, and there's still plenty of time for United to get better or better players, for Chelsea to get better players and strengthen the squad, for Arsenal and Spurs and others too, of course. But it's only the response that those teams will give on the transfer market that will help them getting closer before the first ball of the season is kicked. Other than that, yeah, of course, they were miles ahead before, they're miles ahead even more now. When Mane leaves, though, that will hurt Liverpool. And yes, there's Jota and Diaz and now Darwin, of course. But Mane carried that team for the second half of the season, and losing him would be like City losing KDB pretty much. And I think, of course, the others can step up, and you would think that Klopp will have that ready, and they will step up, and Liverpool will compete all the way with City in the Champions League and in the Premier League. But that would be still a huge loss compared to if City don't lose anyone. If City lose Bernardo Silva, it's a bit similar, to be fair, because it won't be easy to replace. But if City stayed exactly the same squad as last season, plus Haaland on top, but Liverpool lose Mane, I think City will slightly be just above when the season starts.
The key is, though, for the other sides, they need kind of an overhaul if they want to get close to these two sides. And unfortunately for the other sides, Liverpool and City just needed a little bit of tinkering.
Yeah.
And on top of that, maybe the two best players that are available in this market go to City and Liverpool, which makes it even worse. So how the others are going to find all these players between them that are going to push one of them against those two sides all the best. But I don't see how four of them, United, Arsenal, Tottenham, Chelsea, where's the players available that are going to push all of these sides? It's not happening.
And it's only logical that the best players in the market are going to City and to Liverpool. Because when you see everybody else, you go, no, I don't want to be part of an overhaul. Right. I want to be part of something that is already cooking, and I'm just going to add my flavor into it.
Speaking of flavours, Gab and Jules, and their latest podcast is available now. Wow.
Bitter and sour.
Wow, goodness.
Which one's which?
Be sure to check out the latest edition of the show.
I wasn't talking about Jules, though.
Australia are going to the World Cup in November after beating Peru on penalties. Their goalkeeper, very much the talking point after that penalty shootout. I've got to bring it into the studio because I watched the penalty shootout with Stevie, who was getting more and more angry about the goalkeeper's antics. But didn't Jerzy Dudek do exactly that in the Champions League final back in Istanbul?
And Bruce did it, but it was a little more coordinated. The guy was, I mean, it was just so uncoordinated, it was annoying me. It was actually a toss-up between him and the referee.
It was genuinely annoying you, though.
I mean, we were like 8 penalties in, and the ref kept going back to every single goal, the goalkeeper, both of them, tell them to stay on the line.
Okay.
Just get on with the game.
But this sort of antics can't hurt, can it, from the goalkeeper?
No, listen, it's if he thinks it's going to help him and his team,
yes,
then at the end of the day, whether it's annoying or not, you can stand on your head. If you make the save that counts, like he did, who cares?
That's exactly the point, isn't it, Ali? If he doesn't make the save, and if Peru, say, go on to win this penalty shootout...
And if indeed him moving the way that he was moving was in any way affecting the way that Peru were taking their penalties, then mission accomplished. If it is uncomfortable for us and we're watching, I imagine that in a moment of pressure, when the World Cup is on the line and you're about to take a penalty and you're seeing this, you kind of go, what's going on here? This is new. This is not something that I'm used to. This is not something that I prepare for. What am I supposed to do with this? Eventually, it plays out for Australia, and Reitman is a hero.
Which begs the question, why don't more goalkeepers do this then?
Because it's very gimmicky.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a certain type of person to stand in front of the world and make a fool of yourself for no apparent reason.
Well, no, but we're just saying that if it gives you that slight edge, then there is a reason.
Yeah, but unfortunately, Dan, I'm going to give you your counter-argument, which you will argue because the big guy made a save, is that if I'm taking a penalty and I'm so uptight and I see the goalkeeper doing that, that could relax me.
Why would that relax you?
Well, because you've got a guy dancing around, that might relax me. I'm just telling you the other side of the coin. We're all too good at saying because the goalkeeper's jumping around, somebody's going to go, oh no, what we're going to do is jumping around. Well, why can't it not go the other way and actually relax somebody?
What I would,
argument?
Yeah.
Right,
I just seen the other side of the coin.
Right, yeah, no,
What I would say is that in all the jumping around, what he was sacrificing is actually getting a jump off in order to go make the save.
Right.
Because he's doing this and that. Eventually, at some point, you got to come to a standstill so you can jump off and go and propel yourself to go make the save. So if you actually hit a penalty properly, you're not going to get to the corner because you haven't been able to set yourself properly.
But if you're his coach, you're not going to tell him to stop doing it.
No, absolutely not.
Well, there's a reason as to why they put him in. They knew exactly what he does.
The coach knew exactly what he was going to do.
Right, clearly.
And as I said, it matters not what you think of it, it's the result that matters.
Jules, the best bit had to be when he was facing the wrong way, surely.
Yeah, but what was funny, like I think Ali mentioned it, the referee every time has to tell him, you can do what you want, but don't forget that your foot has to stay on the line, because he was moving so much on the, from right to left, up front, backward, all that kind of circus, that the referee every time had to tell him, don't forget, if you're not on the line, if you don't have one foot on the line and you save it, and that's why at the end he waits to see if he was okay, and then he celebrated. But I'm not sure really how he puts off the opposition players. I know he saved the last pen and the one on the post, he went the right way. I'm not really sure that it actually influenced that much the penalty takers.
From a Peru perspective, how big a shock is this?
I don't know if it is a shock as much as it is disappointing the way that you played today. This was not the best version of Peru. Clearly not. When you think that Peru's first shot on target was not until the 99th minute, we had to go all the way into extra time for them to actually have a shot on target. It tells you how many difficulties they had just passing the ball. And this is when you know that pressure is really getting to players. Completing a 5-yard pass was difficult today for Peru. Trapping the ball was difficult today for Peru. And when you're playing against a team like Australia that is putting numbers behind the ball, and you have to be very crisp, very sharp with your passing, and you have to be able to create spaces with your passing, and you're unable to complete any sort of significant pass that penetrates lines of defense in the final third, then you find yourself not creating opportunities. Peru maybe in some way overlooked Australia, maybe did not quite understand the way that the game needed to be played. And unlike games against, say, Brazil or Argentina, where Peru is going to absorb pressure, in this game, they had to be the ones that created the opportunities, and they proved that they were unable to do so. Too many limitations in the attack for Peru, and they showed up today.
Jules, for a game of this magnitude, should it have been played in Doha, considering it's blooming hot?
Yeah, it's a good point. It felt that the rhythm, clearly that the players suffered from the heat, and I know there was obviously all the aircon, the big story before the game too, but it felt like there was not much intensity, and maybe that's what the two teams wanted, and maybe Australia were happy to play deep and leave the ball to Peru, who clearly struggled with it, like Ali just said. But maybe the heat as well and the travel was, took a bit of a toll on the players, maybe, and for a game of, like you said, this magnitude and the pressure that comes with it as well. And we clearly saw, certainly from the Peru point of view, that maybe they struggled to deal a bit with all the expectations and such a big game that sent you to the World Cup or not. But I don't think the heat really, really helped, especially then when you go into extra time and then the penalty shootout and all of that.
For Australia, Jules, of course, back in the World Cup. They've been absent for quite a while. A great coup for them.
Yeah, although they were in the obviously last World Cup because they were already in France and Peru's group and Denmark as well. So we will find 3 of those 4 teams that played in Russia in the same group together 4 years ago. In this group, Australia, Denmark and France, Tunisia will be the team replacing Peru. So it's interesting, and maybe they kind of more used to play that kind of games because it happened for them many times now. But from what you saw tonight, there's still a lot of improvement to be made, and not just on changing the goalkeeper for penalties, but defensively, yes, they can be solid, certainly on set pieces as well. But apart from that, and despite having someone like Harold Moy or Rustic in that team, they lack a bit of flair, and I think they lack a bit of cutting edge too. But for them, it's a group that I think they will fancy causing problems to a team like France, a team like Denmark and Tunisia. They certainly could be favourite in against like that. So why not believing in maybe a big upset and going to the last 16?
Well, as Jules mentioned, of course, Australia with that win book a place in Group D alongside Denmark and Tunisia. France currently ranked 2 in the FIFA rankings. Everything all right, Jules? The fact these Nation Leagues games, they're clearly not clicking. Any sort of reason to panic?
Panic maybe not, but I think you can get a bit worried now. I mean, tonight was bad, really bad. Deschamps was bad in everything pretty much he did, from the team selection to the tactics. I mean, he would have to explain to me how you can play at home against Croatia, being 1-0 down, and then play a 4-5-1 out of possession. This made no sense whatsoever to me, that midfield was not ready for a game like this, and yet you can argue that he was never able to play his strongest 11 in any of those 4 games that we've just seen in the last 10 days for injuries and players out of form or players left at home to rest, that kind of stuff. I understand that, but he still had enough talent in that squad of 23 players, 24 players to do better than what we saw in those 4 games. And this is disappointing, very disappointing. It is from his point of view, from the team's point of view as well. They're out of the Nations League already. Now they will have to try not to be relegated even, which would be an absolute embarrassment. So yeah, you give them a pass in the sense that no one really cares that they treated that like friendlies. Maybe they shouldn't have, but everybody did. We see plenty of other big countries struggling. But also, there's only 2 games left now between now and the World Cup. There won't be any other friendlies. This is the next 2 games will be the next 2 in the Nations League, Denmark and Austria. And after that, this is it. It's the World Cup. And he's got a lot of things to sort out, starting by his own tactics.
According to the bookies, of course, France are 3rd favourites behind Brazil and the mighty England. Any cause for concern, Stevie?
I think so. Yeah, I think Jules is spot on. Panic's not the right word, but if you're looking at this, I'm more worried about Deschamps, to be honest, because unless he's already decided what his lineup is and the way he wants to play, then he's on his own then, because you can't tell what they're trying to do. There's nothing that's happened in these last 4 games that have given you any clue as to who's playing and how they're going to play. He's tried 4 at the back, he's tried 3 at the back. He said Koundé, a centre-back playing right full-back, which centre-backs hate being out there.
Right.
Guendouzi and Rabiot in the middle of the park, when if you don't win this game, you're definitely not winning this group. Just everything about it was awful and wrong, and there was nothing to take away from it other than you're now in the realms of, well, in the past, Deschamps has figured it out and gotten us over the line. Now you're just hoping that he unscrambles his brains and manages to do it again, because that's kind of where they are.
The Nations League action continues. Tomorrow we'll of course be reflecting on those big matches, which includes Germany against Italy. Reports suggesting Mauricio Pochettino will be gone as coach of PSG this week. Jules, this has come out of nowhere.
Whoa. What a surprise. I'm pretty sure my phone has been ringing all day saying like, is this true? Is it? We told you a long time ago. I think he even knew that his days were counted anyway. It's been taking so long because they wanted to announce the replacement almost at the same time as the sacking, which seemed that actually now it's not so much the plan. They will announce that he's been sacked before announcing who's coming in to replace him, because that's not completely sorted yet. But yeah, unfortunately for him, the 18 months have come to an end.
What's interesting, Jules, is if you take a look what's happened to those coaches that preceded him. Okay, well, normally when you see a manager come in, take over a big club, it goes wrong, they then struggle to kind of reconnect as another big side. Yet you look at what the likes of Thomas Tuchel, Unai Emery and Carlo Ancelotti have achieved since they left PSG. Their time at PSG seems to almost be an anomaly on their resume.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, Carlo is different because he left. He was not sacked. He went to Real Madrid, decided to go. The others two, you're right. I mean, we can discuss how much Thomas Tuchel, for example, was failing, really. I think he got sacked because him and Leonardo just could not work together anymore, and Leonardo had enough. But 4 months before, he took them to a Champions League final. So Emery was a little bit different. There was a feeling that the club was too big and too difficult to manage for him. Tuchel was much more of a difficult relationship with the sporting director that I think cost him his place eventually. And for Poch, the future will tell, time will tell if he can bounce back and get another big club and do better than what he did in the last 18 months. Because, I mean, of course, you could have said, let's give him another year and see what happens, and that would have been fair. And I think he could have maybe done a better job. But you could also look at the last 18 months and say, this was just not good enough. Full stop. And for many reasons. The football was not good. He had problems with the dressing room and with the discipline of that dressing room. He's not the first one and not the last for sure, but he struggled. I mean, last season in the league, how can you not win away from home against any of the top 9 teams with the squad that you have? Is beyond me. Okay, maybe not Lyon and Marseille or Monaco, but Rennes and Nice and Nantes and Strasbourg, not a single win against all those teams away from home. Again, not good enough. So you can make a case for them making the right decision right now to sack him. It was just not good enough. But I guess we will never know what would have happened if he had stayed and finished that remaining year on his contract.
Christophe Gaultier will be the new man, Jules?
Yeah, it looks less and less likely now that Zinedine Zidane will accept the offer. They've tried really, again, a bit like with Mbappe, tried pretty much everything to try to convince him to come over. When you have to do so much convincing, I don't think it's ever a good idea anyway, because clearly he didn't want to come for different reasons. Galtier would be the second choice. It maybe not as glamorous, certainly not as glamorous. He's a really good French coach. He won the league with Lille, of course. He knows Campos really well. His 4-4-2 is a bit too basic for me right now, but nothing says that he's not going to evolve and improve himself with a better squad, better team, better dressing room. But there will be a lot of obstacles for him as well, so it'll be quite interesting to see how he does with it.
Why did Zidane say no, Jules?
I think the Marseille against Paris thing was bothering him. I can understand that. I think he's still waiting for the France job, and as we've been saying with the boys, when you see what Deschamps is doing right now, there's a big case that he's not going to get the extension after the World Cup unless he wins it, which means that the job will be available in December, which is perfect for Zidane because we all know that he's the next to come whenever the job becomes available. If Deschamps stays until December 2024, that's a different ball game because Zidane will have to wait a long time again to take over the job. So I think that's the big thing for him. In his head, he says, I want the national team. I need to be available and ready for the national team. And if that's in December, it's even better for me and I will be ready for that after 18 months as a sabbatical, really. So that was the biggest obstacle and they never really managed to convince him. They even said to him, listen, we can have a clause and as soon as that France job is available, we free you. We release you, you can go for nothing. You can go even if that's in December, and he didn't really want to do that either.
Meanwhile, Jules, Messi, Mbappe, Neymar and Lewandowski, full-pronged attack. That sounds fun.
Yeah, good luck with that one. I mean, they keep reporting that story yesterday. We were told that there was nothing in it. I'm sure they've got their sources. I mean, already you know you need to sell to buy midfielders, which is really the area where you want to strengthen with another centre-back, which should be Skriniar. I mean, Lewandowski, come on. I know Pini Zahavi is quite close to the club. He was certainly very close to Leonardo before. And remember last summer when we thought Kylian Mbappe was going to go to Real Madrid, already they are starting talking to Pini Zahavi about Lewandowski. So this is nothing new here. I just think this is not feasible, especially if they can't get rid of Mauro Icardi, for example. What would be the point to have Icardi and Mbappe and Lewandowski and Messi and Neymar? I mean, how many forwards do you want to play in one team? So, I don't think that will happen unless they said again a lot before being able to sign him or other players.
Thank you very much, Jules. Of course, Lewandowski in the discussion where he will go, I think will keep us busy throughout the summer. So be sure to join us here on ESPN FC throughout the week. Meanwhile, let's just take a look at some other transfer news that's breaking. Ryan Gravenberch has gone to Bayern Munich from Ajax for 18.5 million euros. Marquinhos has gone, not that one, has gone from Arsenal to Sao Paulo for 3.5 million. And meanwhile, Gabriel Solina.
You're right.
Slonina.
That's what I said. Slonina.
No, I don't think so.
I definitely said that. So. No. Has been linked with Chelsea. For a lot more news regarding those transfers and pronunciations, be sure to check out Transfer Talk, which is available over on the website. 0-0 in the first leg, wasn't it, between Tenerife and Girona? Perfectly poised then for the second leg, a place in La Liga at stake as these two teams face off live and exclusively on ESPN Plus on Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern. Meanwhile, emotional scenes in the Spanish capital as Marcelo bid farewell to Real Madrid. 16 years he's been at the club, winning no less. Look at that. 25 trophies overall. I think we got a question in extra time discussing Marcelo's legacy at Real Madrid. We'll be discussing that there. Meanwhile, it is official. Chiellini has joined LAFC after 17 years with Juventus. We know how successful he has been during his time for both club and country. Does this make any sense to anybody?
Well, we've had this discussion before. I don't think it's a profile of player that Major League Soccer has been going after in the last few seasons. It's certainly not a profile of player that MLS wants to be associated with in terms of a retirement league. This is something that MLS has fought against, and this is exactly what it feels like. It's 37, turning 38 in August. Has he been a great player? Absolutely. He has been fantastic. Historic player for Italy. I just don't know how much he gives you right now at this point of his career. And I'm just not quite sure as to what do you gain as an organization and as a league having Chiellini on the field.
Nah, it doesn't really work on the field. Unless there's a longer term going on behind it, where Chiellini wants to stay in the US, wants to stay at the club and go in the backroom staff and maybe become a manager and all the whole thing with the family. But from on field, it doesn't make any sense at all.
Injuries as well has been an issue for Chiellini, and those things don't tend to get better with age. They just get worse and worse and worse. And whatever you may think of MLS, this is a league that is a back and forth. That is not only is a back and forth on the field, it's also a back and forth in travel. And it takes a toll physically on your body. And if you're already carrying some baggage with you, I can just tell you, quite frankly, I just don't see Chiellini out on the field with that much consistency.
Meanwhile, on the East Coast, the big news coming out of NYC FC is Rony Deila, of course, the man who led the club to success last season, winning MLS Cup, is to leave and to join Standard Liege. For a lot more on that and the thoughts of Seven Herc, be sure to check out the latest edition of Football Americas. That is available now on ESPN Plus. That is it. That brings us to the end of today's show. Thank you very much to everyone who has been on. Be sure to stay tuned, though. Jules is back, Ali and Stevie as well, to answer your tweets on Extra Time. Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. Thank you very much for your questions. Ali and Stevie with us here in the studio. Jules joins us as well after his American adventures. He's back at home. Lots of questions about that a little later on, Jules. First, next season looks exciting in the Premier League.
Okay.
Who will be the first coach fired for Pochettino? Newcastle or Manchester United, Jules?
That's a really good question. I mean, already we're looking, it's quite brutal to be fair. Again, we go back to Ten Hag and United. What's the point if you hire him and then after 6 months, because you may be 6 or 7 in the table, I don't know, and the football is not really what you thought it would be then, to sack him? There's no point. We said it needs sometimes, there's a big overhaul to do with the squads, and even more with the style of play and the football that has been played, and even with the mindset, I think, of a lot of that dressing room. So he needs some time. For Eddie Howe and Newcastle, however, is slightly different, isn't it? Because you know that they're going to go for, well, ideally for big names in players or managers. He's done an amazing job so far, clearly, and there's no reason why he would not keep doing that and improving the team and the performances. But if there was a little problem, or if the start of the season was not as expected, especially if they spend a lot of money in the summer, then I think he will be under pressure very quickly. But there might be, other Frank Lampard at Everton could struggle as well if they don't start well. There's plenty of others as well who would be under pressure. But yeah, the Saudis and Newcastle, for Eddie Howe, he better start well this season, I think.
This can be a link to everyone, isn't he?
Yeah, I know. I think Arteta could be the...
Oh, that's Jules' boy. Jules likes Arteta.
Well, because, they had a horrible start and everybody wanted him out. And then slowly they built it up and got themselves into fourth. And all the Arsenal fans that I spoke to, all of a sudden they're looking at all the young players and all this and all that.
How many Arsenal fans have you spoken to?
All of them. So those two.
Kevin Campbell. Played for Arsenal.
Right.
Does he not count? Sorry. Is he not good enough for you?
No.
But by the end of the season, Arteta was under pressure.
Right.
He really fell off. So if he starts badly again, he could be the first one to go.
What's the second one? Now I'm curious. I'm intrigued.
Yeah. Think of a name, quick.
Well, you wouldn't know it, and you wouldn't know it.
Oh no! Here we go.
Oh yeah.
See on the front.
Yeah. Arsenal
Hey, you know what? Hey, hold on a minute. If only we had an Arsenal fan, we could ask.
What?
Do you agree with that, Jules?
There you go.
I think he's safe. Even if they start slowly,
Jules
I
isn't one of your
think
friends.
they really trust him at the club.
Let's be fair. How many teams does he support?
No, I am. of course.
Arsenal, PSG.
Right, that's two.
Oh my God.
Chelsea.
Here we go again. I've got different allegiances, different friends everywhere that I need to show support.
Ali.
What's that other team? We could say?
Guangdong. Ali, what will Marcelo's legacy be at Real Madrid? He faded so much in the last few years that people forgot how great he was.
Well, I don't think that people forgot how great he was. Marcelo was never a great defender. And the reason he wasn't playing over the last few seasons is that all those the difficulties that he had defending became highlighted by the fact that he could no longer move. And therefore, you sort of have that image of him. But Marcelo was outstanding for Real Madrid.
Yeah.
The trophies speak for themselves, but the fact that he was a presence in the locker room, there was leadership that Marcelo brought to this group, and then there was quality on the field. So at his best, while he was never a great defender, man, did they have an outlet down the left-hand side, a guy with creativity, with presence, with goal, with assist. When you have that, and you have that sorted out, if you're Real Madrid, you know full well, look, we swing the ball out to the left-hand side, and this guy's going to resolve an issue for us. And he did that for as long as he did for Real Madrid. He has been outstanding.
Whose midfield is set up best for the future, Jules? Real Madrid with Camavinga and Tchouameni, or Barcelona with Pedri and Gavi?
Wow, that's a really tough one to answer. I mean, right now it has to be Barcelona simply because we haven't seen Tchouameni in La Liga yet. You don't know if he will need a bit of time to adapt, what kind of level he will reach. He's still very young as well. The two freaks that Barcelona have right now, and we saw Gavi again shining so much with Spain. He's probably the only one to have played at his level in these 4 National League matches. And this is incredible what he does at 17, and what Pedri has been doing at 18 is quite similar too. So right now you have to say that Gavi and Pedri are a level up to Camavinga and Tchouaméni, but mostly because Camavinga is still this kind of super sub, ready to take to follow once Modric and Kroos and Casemiro, etc. And Tchouaméni is new, he will be introduced tomorrow as a new Real Madrid player, but we still wait to see what he will do in that team in La Liga as well. So Gavi and Pedri right now have to win this one, but again, let's give a bit of time to Tchouaméni and Camavinga.
What about this for a choice? Start, bench and sell, Stevie. Franky Lee Young, Tchouaméni, Declan Rice.
I start Declan Rice. I bench Chiellini and then sell De Jong.
Do you concur, Ali?
Well, that's exactly what Barcelona is going to do.
Yes.
Sell De Jong.
Yeah, well, they want to.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what they want to do. I like Franky Lee Young. I know that I have been critical of Franky Lee Young, but I like him as a player. I thought he was going to be so much better for Barcelona. I think that's part of the reason as to why he may no longer be at Barcelona. I would say start Rice, bench De Jong, sell Tchouaméni. Unknown qualities and quantity of Tchouaméni in terms of what he does at the highest level. We don't quite know that just yet.
Jules, be rude not to ask you.
I'm a big De Jong fan. He's the good De Jong as well. So I will always start De Jong, but I will play him in the sense that he will be the first one to receive the ball from the back, not having to go through Busquets and play higher up. I will bench Tchouaméni because he's my boy, of course. And I said Declan Rice. You know why I said Declan Rice? Because I can rip off English clubs and sell him for 200 million and someone will actually pay that amount. So I become rich as well.
George picked up a tan when you were in the States.
Yeah, he did.
No.
Was it disco lights?
I picked up what?
A tan.
Italian.
You're not Italian, no.
A tan, sorry.
Bronze.
Yeah, I mean, the weather was great. I went to my kids' tournaments, football tournaments on Saturday and Sunday, and it was really sunny in London. I think that's where I tanned very quickly as well. So I'm one of those guys. They both lost in the semi-finals, so no, not this time.
Oh, did you make them walk home?
Yeah, not this time. No, I didn't. I mean, one was really disappointed because they should have won that game. The other one, they lost to a better team, so that's a bit more, you deal with that a bit better than actually losing to a team that is not as good as you, or better.
How are you on the touchline, Jules? What sort of parent are you?
No, I was good. I had the little one for the Sunday tournament. She asked me to play with the toys and then play football. So I hardly saw any of the Sunday one. The Saturday, I was actually quite good this time. I was, not too frustrated.
What was your favourite part about coming to the US then, Jules?
So you and Craig and Shaka was really lovely.
First time we met in person, wasn't it, Jules?
Of the Germany
Underwhelming.
Yeah, I know, that was lovely. Yeah, Pete, our producer, one of our producers, took me to Sally's in New Haven, the best pizza in the world, or on the planet even.
Oh, God.
Which was really good, by the way.
The pizza place was the best pizza place. You can imagine.
Seriously.
Yeah, Pete's a huge fan
pizza.
there.
Don't have pizzas in
And I just felt like coming to... No, but they were really good. I have to say, the pizza were really good. And then coming to the campus, it was my first time in Bristol, and the campus is huge, and it's really impressive, I think, to walk in and.
All right, Jules, you got a contract. You don't need to.
be part
it's
of
fine. Yes, well done. Yes,
No, it's true.
great.
It's true. I'm saying
Well done. Oh, it was great to meet the boss. He was lovely.
I got a
So
question.
nice to me.
Yes.
Did he go eat the pizza with Pete?
Did Pete go with you and eat the pizza?
Yeah. Together.
Man.
Oh, how was your ears after that?
Oh, man.
Oh no, it was great. It was great.
Oh, dear. Pete's been building a shed this weekend. He rang me up and gave me in great detail about what he had to do.
Illness.
And people don't know who Pete is.
No one cares.
Well, just inside information. We'd really like to smack this gum in our ear.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Jules, have the boys taken you out at a steakhouse yet? If so, how do you like your steak prepared? And who paid? Who paid for the pizza? You or Pete?
Pete did.
Expensive.
Yeah.
Expensive.
No, we went to the wings.
Expense. Burnt New Haven pizza. Great.
Corporate
No,
car.
it's the way it's supposed to be done. Steak, where do you stand, Jules? How do you have it?
I have it for well done. I have to be honest. My dad has it well done. I grew up having it well done, so now I'm not going to change now. I think.
Look.
Yes, go on yourself, Jules.
Yeah.
Top man. I'm getting you a
Yes,
steak next
thank
time you
you.
come here.
Top
You're
man.
not going to pay $43 for a steak for Jules.
No, I'm not. I'll get Erling to cook it. Hey, nice bit of sauce.
Jules, did you hear the story of when
Nice.
Stevie invited Gab over for dinner? And he was like, I'll get Ellen to make a nice spaghetti
I don't know
bolognese.
this story.
And then Gab goes, well, I'm not going to come unless the pasta's al dente.
Unless you cook the pasta properly, then no. What? I was like that.
Oh my God.
What a
I'm not
snob.
surprised.
Yeah, that was it.
Well, we were never allowed to order from the menu when you were with Gab.
Well, there we go. That is it, Jules. I hope you come back here soon. That'd be lovely to
I never
see
got
you.
to see Jules.
Did you not?
I never either.
Can't wait.
Didn't miss
I know, Ali wasn't there.
ESPN FC then back on your screens tomorrow. Germany taking on Italy in that big Nations League match. We'll be all over it.